candidates to find out a little bit more about their background, their plans for the future, as well as perhaps some fun nuggets along the way as well. Today, we're very happy to have Dawn and Zul, who will be spending the next 1 hour or so with us. My name is Ricardo, your host and moderator for today's session. Now, as we have a chat with Dawn and Zul about building a caring and inclusive community here at Chua Chu Kang GRC, we would like to take questions from you as well. So if you have any questions at all, please put them in the comments below. I'm going to ask everyone to keep your questions constructive and cordial so we can have a good session here today. And if we do run out of time and we are unable to take all your questions, I ask for your understanding tonight. All right. Now, this is our second session. The first session, we also had Minister Gan and Mayor Loh here with us. Now that Minister Gan and Mayor Loh are on the campaign trail visiting, we are very happy to have Dawn and Zul. So we can afford to perhaps be a little bit more light-hearted this evening, even as we tackle important questions about the future. So before we go into the questions, let's meet the candidates once again. Go throw it over now, pass the time over to Dawn. Hi, Dawn.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Dawn Wee. 大家晚上好，我叫黄文宏. Selamat malam, saya Dawn Wee. Thank you.
Thanks, Dawn. Talk more in a while. I'm now gonna bring Zul. Hi, Zul. Are you here with me?
Hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you for welcoming us to your home and joining us on this FB Live. My name is Zul. 我的名字是九概念，你可以叫我阿九。Selamat sejahtera, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan. Nama saya Zul. Vanakkam, Yen Peru Zul. Nandri. Thank you.
All right. Now we know that Zul is Zhu Gai Nian. That's a really interesting tidbit. So for those of you that speak Mandarin, if you see Zul around the neighborhood, make sure you say hello to him. We're going to bring both candidates up on screen together with me. How this is going to work is that for the first half or so, I'll ask some questions that have been pre-prepared. Sure. And in the second half, we'll jump into questions from Facebook Live. So if you're watching us on Facebook Live, please do two things for us. Number one, if you know anyone that stays in Chua Chu Kang GRC, please share the video to them so they can come and watch their candidates. And also, if you have any questions at all, please put them in the comments below and we'll try and take them as the hour progresses. Now, gentlemen, let's frame our conversation in three main parts, okay? We're going to talk a little bit about how you got here. We are also then going to talk about your plans for the future. And last but not least, we'll ask you some slightly more light-hearted questions. Dawn, we'll start with you. I understand that while you are first time contesting in an election, you have actually been on the ground in the community for many, many years.
Thanks for the question. So myself, I have been serving with various community organizations since 16, 17 years ago. I was treasurer of a CCC. I also headed a welfare organization. At the same time, I am also chairing a neighborhood committee. On top of that, I had served in the school advisory committee of a neighborhood secondary school, started since 2011 before I served my alma mater, which is Nanhua High School currently. So while I was serving with Tanglin Secondary School, which is in the constituency where I had served previously, I came across many cases whereby there is synergy because many of the residents or the students studying at that neighborhood school are actually residents of the constituency where I happen to be staying at right now. So when I was new to the education field, I tend to have this biasness that if a kid did not study well, it would be because of the person's attitude. Then I came across cases whereby it was because that particular student had to stay at home to take care of his young sibling. As a result, he couldn't attend school punctually. So it resulted in me being more empathetic and try to find out the underlying reasons first before jumping to conclusion. So I had started, so all these stints with various non-profit organizations had actually strengthened my belief that there's a lot of things that we can actually offer to the community and the country. So that actually spurred me to contribute at the national level.
Don, I'm going to jump back in and ask you a follow-up question, right?
Sure.
So I know you know, in my chats with you, you've been serving at, as you correctly mentioned, in schools, in professional institutes, even in the Institute of Mental Health, in various capacities over the more than a decade. In fact, I think, was it 15, 16 years? But my question here is why? What inspires you to serve and give of your time?
So in the first place, to serve or to join politics is a responsibility to be born, not an ambition to be sought. So there was one event whereby a minister observed and actually came to me and said that, Don, I felt that when you executed the task or the event, I could see the sense of purpose in you. So I hope that you can actually contribute by giving feedback to the policymakers, and so that you can actually improve the lives of many people. So that was that statement given to me that actually made me agree to have a meeting with a senior country leader. So that happened in 2018, even though I was first asked to consider drinking a bit of caffeine in 2011.
Don, I'm going to again come to you for last follow-up question before I move on to Zul. And you know, it's been reported in the press every time I see you introduce yourself that it has been a meritocratic story to you, right? From a neighborhood school, polytechnic, eventually to masters. Do you feel like that journey has shaped you in terms of wanting to give back at the community level and at national level?
Certainly. So actually our life experiences do shape the way we behave. But most importantly, it was actually during my course of work that made me realize that I should not have taken the meritocracy for granted. So for example, when I traveled to neighboring countries, so that the company will actually arrange for a chauffeur to ferry me to my meeting places. So the driver will actually chat with me and ask me, hey, what did your daddy do? So actually I told them that my dad was a taxi driver. So many of them were actually surprised because in our neighboring countries, they could not imagine their kids to be working in a bank or to be a top corporate executive. Whereas in Singapore, there's always this possibility that everyone will be given a fair chance as long as your attitude is right. So I do believe that there is meritocracy in Singapore that allows everyone to do well.
Thank you for sharing that. Zul, I'm going to come to you right now. You've also been very active in the community, but perhaps in slightly different areas. Can you share a bit of your background with us, Zul?
Well, my journey started probably about 10 years ago. I'm a lawyer for 15 years. I think about my 5th or 6th year in practice, I've always been a trial lawyer, go to court, fight cases for companies, that kind of thing. But then my opponent asked me one day, hey, bro, have you ever done anything for your community? Done any pro bono? So I said that, got time, eh? So that's the one thing that I was always, when we are fixed in our career, right? We started out and we want to build a solid base, but we forget that actually doing other voluntary acts, doing pro bono work, charity, being kind to people, actually adds on to your makeup as a person, as a human being. And that would also put you in good stead as the career person that you want to be. So I started doing legal clinics. I don't do family matrimonial cases. So most of the community cases that I see are actually matrimonial cases. So I actually then started learning how to acquaint myself with that aspect of the law so that I can help people. advise them, how to direct them to the proper channels. Then that morphed into a few things. I then realized that as a family man myself, all my causes or passion actually revolves around the family unit. Like, for instance, financial literacy, and then tackling issues of drug abuse, matrimonial divorces, family violence against women and children. So I sit on charities that actually serve these causes, and it then become like an addiction to me. It's fun to do it, to contribute, and I think it makes you feel a lot more grounded in life. I remember I was going out so much after work. I was going out to do my charity and do my volunteer work. And then one day my daughter actually stopped me at the door, and then she said that, "Oh, where are you going?" So that time she was only about maybe 7 years old. So I always tell her, "Oh, I'm going out to help people," you know. And then one day she said to me, "Help me." So that actually broke my heart, because she thought that I didn't spend so much time with her, that she also needed to be helped. And then I realized that, why don't I bring her to some of my charity events? So I brought her to Casa Rauda Women's Home, where she could see other children, other girls, other daughters of people of her age, having another path in life. And she was happy to be involved. She understands my kind of work and why I do what I do, and actually gives me great resolve to be determined in contributing and doing this charity work and service to others. So I feel that this path has led me to this stage, and this is the next pathway for me to contribute at a greater level and back home in Chua Chu Kang.
Zul, you know, every time I speak to you, this passion and love for family comes out a lot, and it is an area in which you're going to champion and you're going to advocate for, as well as young people, right? So these are the two areas that you often speak about, and even off camera when we're talking, you always come back to the same topic. Why these two topics are so close to your heart?
Well, I mean, it's cliche, but our children are our future. Okay, we as an Asian society, we inherit the world as what our forefathers left us, right? So we want the best for our children, other people's children, and their children's children as well. So to me, there's so much more that we can glean from ideas, from suggestions. I saw a comment there about climate change, and a young person is really interested about climate change. That's very heartening, because if you are not actually concerned about the world that we live in, then you will not be concerned about the world that we will leave behind. So I feel that we are custodians, stewards of whatever position that we are in. Either we are a company director, we are teachers. We safeguard that, and we have to preserve that to the next generation. And I feel that that's why families, issues of youth are important, because Singapore, like it or not, we have no natural resources except for our people, you and I. So if you don't leverage on each other, support one another, then I think that's going to be fatal for us.
Don, again, you have mentioned that in your 16 years of community service, you have had many mentors, many people come to support you, and it really is a team effort to get you to this stage where potentially to serve the country in a new capacity. Can you tell us a little bit about the different influences in terms of building you up over the last 15, 16 years?
So I have been serving with West Coast grassroots organizations for 16 years. So I have been serving with Minister Iswaran. So I could see how he actually put in his time, effort, and his policy knowledge to help his residents. At the same time, he will actually put the residents' interest as priority when designing or when executing certain events to make sure there's barrier-free ramps in case there are elderlies. So my point is, through my experience with Minister Iswaran, with Minister Gan Kim Yong, and through my interaction with the country leaders like Emeritus Mr. Goh Chok Tong, I could see that they always put the countrymen's interest as their topmost priority. So this is something that influenced me that I should also do the same if I'm given a chance to do so. Thank you.
Thanks, Don. Zul, young people, families, we've talked about. You're also fairly sporty yourself. And I know sports is also very close to your heart. What do you think sports, and it feels almost that sometimes in Singapore, sports can sometimes be seen as, perhaps not the most viable career. It doesn't have its own ministry. So yourself, you're going to champion sports?
Thanks, Rick, for asking me that. I sit on the Sports SG board of directors. When they first invited me, the first thing I told them is that I don't play any sports well. So do you really want me to be there and speaking to the Joseph Schoolings of Singapore? But actually, they wanted me for my passion and my contribution thus far, because we see sports as a unifying factor. Growing up, I watched Pandi, Sundramoorthy, Lim Tong Hai lifting the Malaysia Cup, and it actually unites everyone. Everyone goes up to Malaysia, come down, watch Singapore versus Selangor, the derby, right? It really unites Singaporeans, old, young, all across races. So I think there are opportunities for sports to actually be not a social leveler, but a social unifier of people. And I believe that soft skills, arts, culture, heritage, sports can actually bring families together, bring different families from all walks of life together. And of course, actually, because our anchor minister is also Minister of Health, so promote a healthy lifestyle. Not just sit down at not spectator sports, but actually doing sports. And this morning when I was walking around the neighborhood, I saw many residents going out and about, coming back from their exercise, and they are actually doing their own exercise regime and sports regime. So I see that it's a way for us to be out there and connect to people. And you notice that during the circuit breaker, after what was the favorite pastime that Singaporeans would like to do? Jogging, right? Everyone's like to jog again because they don't have to wear the mask. And actually, it's also a way to see other people. When we see other people smile, there's something that triggers something in us. It's a connection. And I think when we are all cooped up at home without that connection during the circuit breaker, there's something that's amiss in all Singaporeans' lives. And that's why we think that sports will play a crucial part in our lives.
Yes, I play a lot of football, and I have a bit of withdrawal symptoms now after not playing for so long. But we have to stay safe, right? So hopefully. Do you play football, Zul?
I do. I play across the back and across midfield.
I see.
I'm not good on both legs. Maybe on the right leg better than left. So most likely right back lah. Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's not jump the gun. But if you do get elected, there is a pretty decent Parliament football team, I heard. Yeah. Maybe they need a new right back. Okay. Anyway, over to you, Don. Don, we've spoken briefly about Zul's pet topics. I also want to talk to you about two topics that you brought up often: mental health, as well as business and SMEs. Can you share with us a little bit about why these are close to your heart?
Sure. So I was appointed onto the Visitors Board of the Institute of Mental Health a few years back, whereby I had the opportunity to actually review the welfare of the mental health patients who are residing in mental health in the Institute of Mental Health located at Bangkok, as well as the mental health patients who were detained at the Changi prison. So I came across cases whereby the kid or the son actually killed the father, and another case whereby the hubby actually killed the wife. And after reviewing their case files and after speaking with them, they could not recall their intention of doing so. But a common answer that they replied me was they heard a voice asking them to do so. So this is something called schizophrenia. There are also cases whereby I came across without the patient's control, or rather the patient had lost control of his mental capacity and had made decision to will his or her assets to an unknown or a stranger. So that's where my pro bono work with the Office of Public Guardian will actually help, especially the stay-alone elderlies, to discharge their assets so that the proceeds can go into a trust account, and the proceeds can also be used to offset their medical and aged home expenditure. So therefore, I have come across cases which are suffering from mental disorder as well as suffering from dementia. So therefore, and very often they face stigmatization, whereby they are not given a fair opportunity by prospective employers to gain employment. So once they don't have a sustainable employment, so then that's when they will not have the financial resources to maintain basic standard of living. And worse still, if they experience chronic illness, then that's when they may not be willing to seek help, even though there are available medical schemes that can actually help them to seek medical attention from the government restructured hospitals. So my concern is that because of their lack of confidence and the so-called biasness that they receive from many Singaporeans, that will actually deter them from actually curing their illnesses at the source. So I do want to do something for them by raising the awareness and see whether if we can actually can have some incentives to incentivize the employers to employ these mental health patients. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Don. So we have almost 100 people watching us today. If you know of anyone staying at Chua Chu Kang GRC, please like and share this video. Share it with them so that they can come and hear more from the PAP's candidates for Chua Chu Kang GRC. Tonight, we have Zul and Don joining us at Facebook Live at Chua Chu Kang. And we'll be talking about how we can make Chua Chu Kang a more inclusive and caring community. The candidates have so far been sharing with us a little bit about their background. We are now going to start talking about their plans for the future. Now, gentlemen, I know that both of you have very busy jobs. Zul, you're a lawyer. Don, you are a banker. Now, how are you going to be able to juggle and balance your professional role as well as your parliamentary role if you get elected? Perhaps we can start with Don on this one.
Hi, thanks. That's a very relevant question, which I had experienced from a resident this afternoon. So first of all, with advanced technology, we can actually have meetings with the constituency office as well as the town council via Zoom. At the same time, we will be, for me personally, besides the weekly Meet the People session, I will also be conducting regular house visits. On top of that, there will be engagement activities whereby it gives me face time to meet with the residents. So the house visits as well as the events is, to me, is a mobile Meet the People session whereby I get to meet the residents across the 11 precincts so that I can understand the situation that they are undergoing, as well as to gather feedback that can improve the community. So I guess with with proper time management, I can juggle both roles. And moreover, I don't golf, I don't drink. And so besides the work, family, Chua Chu Kang will be my second home. Thank you.
That's a great answer. Zul, yourself?
Well, there are always three parts to me when I say and explain these things. There are three C's: my core, my career, and my community. So these are the three things that I always have to balance and juggle. And like what Don said, we are committed to the path that we take. Otherwise, we will not proceed on as per the journey. There are ways to leverage on technology, and there are ways to rethink how we do engagement with the people. When we always think about Meet the People session or MPS, it's always the people coming to the MP and seeing the MP for whatever issues that they are facing. But I think we have to turn that on its head. Like Don said, maybe it's time to go to the people session. Go to the people, hear the people, because if anything that I've learned across all my years of community service, it's not the issue that you are faced with. It's actually some underlying issues that you also need to be addressed. So I always feel that, and I've been following Mr. Zaki for the past 2 years in Kiat Pong, and I've seen that is the way the so-called mobile MPS work. House visits, we have makan kaki sessions at the block at the void deck, and then that's where we go around and chit chat. Hey, how things doing? How's your children? And they say that, oh, I'm having trouble registering for school, and then you realize that there are other issues. So it's like getting to know, and also wanting to know. To me, it's about the commitment is about knowing and really understanding the voice and making sure that I can deliver on the feedback and trying my best to make that change for the person. And I feel that, yes, we all lead busy lives, even you at home, but you still find time to watch us on this Facebook Live. So my mother always tell me, if you want it, you will get it. You just have to make sure that you don't find time, but you make time. And the commitment, the oath of responsibility, obligation that we take really means that we have to make time, and that is the important thing for us. And as a team in a GRC, there's ways to leverage off on resources, shared resources, which will stand us in good state to serve the people of Chua Chu Kang.
Thank you. So,
Zhu has said, so besides town council, we are also supported by a team of committed grassroots leaders and activists that will actually help us to surface our residents' concerns to the Member of Parliament. So yes, thank you very much.
it's good, huh? So, gentlemen, you know that whatever's on Facebook Live stays on Facebook permanently. So, now that you've said on Facebook Live, you will not just have Meet the People session, you also have Go to the People session. I'm sure our Chua Chu Kang residents will hold you accountable in the years to come. All right, you heard it here. You heard it first here. Zul, Don, go to the People session if they are elected as your MPs. All right. Let's talk a little bit more about the extension of the question. So the original question was, you guys hold day jobs. How are you going to commit to this new role as well? But I think that question can be framed in another way, right? What can you bring from your day job into this new role, right? Whether it's as a lawyer or whether it's a banker. Zul, we start with you.
Well, as a lawyer, we always see issues. As a disputes lawyer, litigator, you always see the eye for the disputes, the glass being half full, and see actually where the risks are. To me, that brings a certain aspect that I can maybe allow myself to understand the situation and maybe advise, give my 2 cents worth of view to the residents. I can share with you some instances where I've sat in the MPS and residents actually come with situations where they are only asking for a an application or appeal for a rental flat. But that may be the only thing that they are asking for. But actually, we also see the risk of them asking for a rental flat, or whether or not they actually need other long-term support that their family need. So, to me, as what I'm trained, my legal skills help me to inform myself, and also the way that we actually have to speak to people, right? When we do submissions in court, I always ask myself, who am I appearing before? Because everyone's human, even judges are human. Residents are varied, and you have different personalities, and you have different concerns. So we need to understand that concern. We need to actually convey the message in a way that you would be able to accept and understand, and also to make sure that we understand you. So that is very important and critical to me.
Thanks, Don. Thanks, Zul. Don, your experience as a banker, what do you bring to the table to our residents?
So in my course of work, I have the opportunity to meet with many local corporations, which includes the small, medium enterprises. And there are many small, medium enterprises in the Chua Chu Kang community. And these are very good corporate partners. So, and moreover, I'm finance and accountancy trained. So that's when I can help these SMEs to plan their finances. And I'm also familiar with some of these government assistance financial schemes that these companies can tap on. So if these companies do well, our residents who are employees of these companies will also benefit from it directly. So this is some aspect that I can actually advise our SMEs which are residing in the Chua Chu Kang community.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. Let's get into the bread and butter. All right? We'll talk about your plans for Chua Chu Kang, and then we'll talk about your plans at national level. At Chua Chu Kang, let's jump into a couple of the comments already. I have a Yu Shan that says, why no hawker center in Chua Chu Kang, like in some of the other places? There's another question about LRT lines. So can you share with us a little bit more about what are some plans in terms of the hardware and infrastructure coming up in Chua Chu Kang? Zul?
Well, for the makan places, we will have a hawker center actually in Chua Chu Kang, and there will be two new hawker centers, one in Chua Chu Kang and another one nearby in UT. There would also be another one in Hong Kah North. So in terms of choices, there would be a lot of choices. The Sunshine Place will also be revamped to have greater spread of food choices there. Funny you should mention this, because when I was at the food fair at, just beside Lot 1 at Chua Chu Kang Center, I've seen many remarks about having hawker center, because we not only have residents, we also have workers, and also the army camp military personnel who actually come to Lot 1 and Chua Chu Kang Center to actually have their lunch. So it is actually very timely for us to have a hawker center, and also actually curate what do we Chua Chu Kang residents want, yeah, in the hawker center itself. What kind of food, and how do we then use the food waste to generate or recycle in an eco or sustainable manner. So that is part and parcel of the plan. I don't want to give too much away, because we have some of these initiatives and thoughts that we have actually set out in our e-rally that's coming up on the 4th of July. But just the sneak peek lah, the akan datang ones are the hawker center, and to me it's important, because at a dinner setting, doing a makan setting, that's when we bond as a people, their families get closer together, they converse, they become closer over food, friends can meet up, and this is very crucial and important to our town.
Very good, Zul. That was like a sneak preview, like a movie preview to the e-rally happening on Saturday, right, at 8 p.m.
There's also one question posed by Mr. Pang Wei Han, who is a young Singaporean who is very concerned or worried about impending climate crisis. So let me try to take this question. So at the government level, government had actually set up this National Climate Change Secretariat, which will implement initiatives at the national level to tackle climate change. At Chua Chu Kang, if you can refer to the Chua Chu Kang Master Town Plan, we had actually launched a few Chua Chu Kang Town sustainable initiatives, and they are actually the recycling initiatives, the energy initiatives, the green environment ones, food waste, transport initiatives, as well as water resources initiatives. And at a personal level, there are 3 steps that we can do to tackle. First is to understand it. Next is to actually take measures to mitigate and adapt to it. What do I mean by that? First of all, stop using plastic bottles. Adapt to a glass one so that you don't throw plastic bottles unnecessarily. So this is what I meant by understanding the issue, adapt to it, and mitigate. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Don, for taking that question. Today's topic is again about building a caring and inclusive Chua Chu Kang, right? A caring and inclusive community. I'm wondering, gentlemen, what does that mean to you? A caring and inclusive community. Zul?
I talked about it in some shape or form during my introduction speech, that my son told me the story about the Lego brick and how one brick is unbreakable and how it connects into a bigger and beautiful structure. And the brick itself can come in different shapes and forms. To me, building a gracious, kind family, it's not just about us, but it's about connecting with other families as well as a unit, so that when crises like this come, then we can support each other. We can actually complement each other. Every brick is different in terms of shape, and it has its own strength and weakness. So when we complement each other, that's when we actually become stronger. Like the question that we are faced today, right? We are all like in a bus. There's a driver, and then there are all people, everyone sitting on different seats looking out of different windows. We all have blind spots. We all have different worldviews, different perspectives. And when we come together, we are all sharing those views. It's actually make us safer. And the fact of the matter is we're all on the same bus, going in the same direction, on the same road. So we only have each other. And to me, that is the essence of being inclusive. And that's why Chua Chu Kang is BIG, right? Beautiful, inclusive, and gracious. So I totally relate to that.
Don, caring and inclusive, what does that mean to you?
Hi, thank you. So first of all, there's a saying which says that the best welfare is actually education and jobs. So when it comes to education, at the national level, there's a multi-ministerial task force set up called Uplift that will actually look into cases whereby the kids will need not just financial assistance, but parental and family support. And when it comes to family support, it is important that the parents are gainfully employed. So it's a very holistic framework that makes sure that the family does well so that the kids will also do well. So this is something that is being done at the national level. At the same time, there are also various schemes to help the less privileged kids to level up with their peers. So schemes like Kickstart, there's also School Pocket Money Fund to make sure the kids are well nourished. And just like what happened during the circuit breaker period, whereby the less privileged kids were given a laptop as well as a dongle to make sure they had access to internet. So these are the various national measures that make sure that all kids will receive good education. At the local level, we also have various welfare programs to make sure that the less privileged kids and families have their daily expenditure offset by vouchers, whereby we will, through our welfare committee, we will actually award vouchers to help these less privileged families to offset some of their grocery expenditure. So this is something that we do when it comes to education. When it comes to the jobs aspect, then that's when we will encourage them to sign up courses, the Skills Future accredited courses, which are conducted by the CC and some of the external agencies, so that as they retrain, upskill themselves, they can find better jobs. And when they have better jobs, they will be better paid, so that their family will also benefit from a higher household income. So this is something that I will actually be paying closer attention to if I'm elected.
Thanks, Don.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Zul. Let's talk about that now. Now, as we move, you guys, of course, standing in Chua Chu Kang, and you're going to do a lot for Chua Chu Kang, but you also have a bigger role if you're elected in Parliament, right? What are some issues that you look forward to speaking up on, to voting on, to fight for in Parliament if you are elected? Zul?
I think we have seen various progress for single parents, unwed mothers, but more can be done in this regard. During the community work that I've been involved in, there are opportunities or gap lapses or where gaps where women who, not through the fault of anyone, actually do not receive full help and full subsidy. I think that we can do more. I would not just be a voice for this segment of society, but I think in Parliament, the role of a parliamentarian is not just limited to a conduit of message. It's actually to be the actionable change, to do something. And sitting on the GPCs where you are closer to the ministries, then you can actually make that impact, that effect, that change. I speak of this from my own experience. I sit in a committee of the Law Society, and then we also look at various bills or amendments, and where it is open up to public consultation, we then put forward our position. Now, being a parliamentarian, that is a great responsibility, because every amendment to legislation would actually have an impact on any ordinary folks' lives. And that's why in my introduction speech, I did say that you have to bring the humanness of connectivity within policy making. Law must serve the people. And it's funny because I was just at Sunshine Place earlier this evening, and I went to the Sinsei, the TCM, and then he asked me, okay, so I asked you two questions. You're a lawyer, right? You sure, right? Do you follow the law, or you serve the law, or do you serve the people? So I said, you serve the people, because the law must serve the people as well. And a law that doesn't serve the people, that have gaps, then that means there needs to have some improvements to it. To me, that is the effective change that I would have in terms of segments of society. And also, maybe we can do more in terms of legislating to promote a more eco-friendly environment that our children can live in, because if we don't do it now, then we will be paying the price a few years later.
Thank you. Don, yourself?
Sure. So during the circuit breaker period, I experienced a welfare case whereby this lady had lost her employment. At the same time, she is also experiencing chronic illness. So what happened was she went to a social service office and was asked, so she wanted some help. However, the social service office actually wanted her to produce some medical document which certifies her that she's unfit for work. However, during that period, medical consultation wasn't available because it wasn't really that emergent, because it wasn't that urgent. So what happened was, I realized there's this problem whereby certain documents are contained or are filed in the hospital system. So it would be good if the information can be shared between the government agencies in a very secure manner so that the deserving cases can be helped in a readily manner. So this is something that I would be pushing or advocating if elected and given a chance to present this case to the parliament. So the point is, certain things can be digitalized so that the efficiency can be improved to help the deserving cases.
Thank you, Don. Now, Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan spoke on the debate yesterday, saying really the central platform of the election is jobs, 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 and really because this is a really extraordinary time to be living in, a crisis of our generation. There is a question here by Charlie that says, nothing is more corrosive for the soul than a long-term unemployment for working adults. What are your suggestions? What do you think people can do, residents can do to remain adaptable, employed, and continue to be relevant during this crisis? Zul, your comments, please.
Well, I cannot agree more. When you give someone a fish, he eats for a day, but when you give him a fishing rod and teach him how to fish, you can eat for a lifetime. And it's not just about that person alone. It's about giving the dignity back to the household to actually level up the family. We've seen all the schemes on GE2020 traineeship and Skills Future for mid-career switches. And I can say that the take-up rate is encouraging. And it is because when this current COVID situation blows over, some jobs may not be there anymore. So we need to be prepared for the jobs of the future, for jobs that would be in demand, and to help our residents connect how to get those accreditation, training, knowledge and know-how, and experience actually, to get into those jobs. Now, we are not just talking about jobs for Singaporeans, because as you know, from the COVID situation during the circuit breaker, we could actually be doing our telecommuting from home and doing meetings all across the world through Zoom or any web conference. Now that means that anyone outside of Singapore would also have the same tools, and they would also be having the same opportunities. And how to have Singaporeans to get that extra cutting edge over other competitors across the world who will be vying for the same job, same tender, because they can sit overseas and in the comfort of their homes. We need to be a bit more focused as to the sectors that we are in, and that's why the MTI has set out the industry transformation roadmaps, and Skills Future is geared towards that. And that's for the workers. Now, when I talk about the youths, and I have many youth programs, empowerment programs as well, and we have these initiatives to drive them towards actual work, actual internship, actual corporate experience, so that they don't just know how to do it, they are shown how to do it. They will be having that social capital with the networks that they build. So I always tell this to my interns: your internship is not for you to learn, but actually for you to experience. Nobody can take that away from you. And I believe that every Singaporean youth and every Singaporean worker has the aptitude to take on that. And Life Skills Futures, GE2020 traineeship, the National Job Council headed by SM Tharman would actually have that opportunities for us to do that.
Don, your comments on jobs, please.
So to add on to that, my heart goes out to the fellow Singaporeans who had lost their jobs during this period. So I'm empathized with them. To add on to what Zhu has said, actually, there are many grants, many courses, many training schemes, as well as traineeships available for the unemployed ones to take on during this period while they look for a job that they desire. But to survive, I think the most important factor that one has to possess, or one attribute that we have to possess, will be the attitude or the agility to switch roles while waiting for your desired role. So, and to add on, there are jobs created by the newly formed Singapore Digital Office, which had informed Singaporeans that they will be creating 100,000 jobs over the next 2-3 years. So, to sum up, it is important that we maintain a positive attitude, to go for the training so that we can actually take on a new role during this period. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Don. Of course, you've heard from both our candidates being agile, flexible, with a positive attitude. I'm sure by working hard, we'll be able to get out of this crisis together. Now, as we approach the final, I would say, less than 10 minutes, I thought we'll spend the last part of it on something a bit lighter. Of course, the news, there's a lot of campaigning about very serious topics, but it is also important to know our candidates a little bit better as people. All right, so I've lined up a few more light-hearted questions to ask both of them. We'll do it in a speed round style, right? So I ask you straight away answer, okay? We'll start with Zul. All right, 5 questions, slightly more fun. Number 1, what do you do for fun outside of work?
FIFA and football.
FIFA and football. So are you better at FIFA or are you better at football?
I'm not good at both.
Okay. Your favorite drink and food at the coffee shop or the hawker center?
Kopi O or teh tarik, and then I like banana fritters, goreng pisang.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a great breakfast. That's a Singaporean breakfast right there. Kopi O and goreng pisang. Very nice. Your favorite sports team?
Oh, I waited 30 years. Liverpool.
All right. But yes, congratulations. Well played, Liverpool, by the way. If I spoke to your friends, how will they describe you, Zul?
Well, I don't know. I think they say that they wouldn't probably think that I'm going to be a politician or I aspire to be one. I think they will just call me by my nickname when I was in the army, Specky. I had thick specs. Yeah.
All right. And last but not least, your favorite moment on the campaign so far? Today is day 3.
Wow. Okay, so I did a lot of house visiting, and then one of the time when we knocked, and then this gentleman came out, and then he said, so sorry. He had his headset. He was doing a video conference. So he was working from home. So I said that, hey, you're working from home? So I said, yeah, because he couldn't do lots of work last few weeks because his children were home-based learning, HBL. So I just told him that, hey, same. I couldn't do much work when my children were in HBL. And because we have to take care of their studies and then do the work as well. So I really salute all you teachers who have the gumption to take care of our children while we are at work. So, and when I was talking to him, he totally understood, and we just nod our head in tandem. So there's a connection.
Connected.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
I'm sure you have his vote. All right. Over to you, Don. 5 questions.
Sure.
What do you do for fun?
I play PS4, NBA, and FIFA with my younger son.
All right. So you guys in your free time can play a bit of FIFA together, I suppose. Drink and local food at a hawker center.
I don't take alcohol. I drink kopi o. I drink 白花蛇草水, meaning some
Cooling water.
cooling water.
Food.
Food. I don't take meat, so bihun is my favorite food.
Chai bee hoon. That's another solid Singapore breakfast right there. Your favorite sports team, Don?
Chelsea Football Club, which had beaten Manchester City. As a result, Liverpool won their title a week earlier.
Right, so you
Thank
actually
you.
played a role in some way to Zul's happiness.
Like what we are doing in real life.
Yeah, okay, teaming up. How will your friends describe you, Don?
A boring introvert.
Okay.
Yeah.
And last but not least, your favorite moment on the campaign so far?
It happened today, whereby we met an elderly woman who actually informed us that PAP had actually helped her a lot. So she teared when she described how Minister Gan had actually helped her to appeal for her to get her things sorted out.
Fantastic. I'm going to wrap up today's session with one final question. I think we've covered most of the questions from the Facebook Live as we had the conversation. Gentlemen, I know both of you are fathers. Don, you have 2 sons, yes?
2 sons.
Zul, you have
3.
3 children. Describe to me, gentlemen, the Singapore you hope to see your children grow up in as a closing to today's Facebook Live here at Chua Chu Kang. Zul?
I feel that I've been blessed with a lot of good experiences, good people around me, good mentors, teachers, friends. I owe that a lot to the Singapore that I grew up in. I feel that we had chances to play at the void deck, at the corridor, understand each other, making friends across culture, races. I want that for my children. I want that because it will put them in good state. It would actually allow them to be a unique Singaporean who can understand the culture and setting of other cultures and be adaptable in this global world where everything, there's always constant change, and there will always be a need to be nimble. And I feel that that is something that we have to want for our children, so that they can have the best opportunity in life.
Thank you, Zul. Over to you, Don.
I hope that they have a safe environment to grow up with and they can pursue their passion.
Thank you very much. That, my friends watching here this evening, was Don and Zul, our candidates for the People Action Party here at Chua Chu Kang GRC. For those 100 or so of you that have watched us consistently and constantly over the last 1 hour, thank you for spending your Thursday evening here with us. This is a series of conversations that will be happening throughout the election campaign. The next important date to look out for is the e-rally happening on Saturday at 8 p.m. here, also on the Chua Chu Kang GRC page. Thank you very much for your support to the 2 candidates. All the very best. It's only the 3rd day. Many more days of campaigning ahead of you. To the residents, thank you for viewing. Thank you for sharing the video. Thank you for your questions. To the team behind the scenes, thank you for putting it together as well. We will see you on the campaign trail very soon. My name is Ricardo. On behalf of Zul and Don and the entire team here at Chua Chu Kang GRC, thank you for your viewership. Stay safe and good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.